Every single one of you who didn't speak out against this type of behavior on the left, who made excuses for those who do it, and who actively enable this type of behavior, it is all your fault. I hope to God I don't still have any confetti on me, because it would be very inappropriate for a video that's this serious and this kind of low tone-wise, but unfortunately, a pretty beloved left-leaning YouTuber who made some pretty good media analysis content from a left-wing perspective, the only good perspective when it comes to media analysis, unfortunately, we have lost her, and she will not be uploading any content probably ever again. Maybe she'll return, she said, but not likely. And the person we're talking about is, of course, Lindsay Ellis. Makes some pretty good content. I don't watch all of her videos, but I've certainly watched quite a few of them. Like her Death of the Author video. Obviously, this is a very good one. I tried to do the Titanic one, but I've just never been interested by Titanic, so you can see about how far I got into that one. Video on Borat, this video on the cancellation thing, tracing the roots of pop culture transphobia. I think I watched a bit of protest music. I've seen a good amount of this content. Game of Thrones stuff, Death of the Author 1, Independence Day versus War of the Worlds, good movies. Some Star Wars stuff. Obviously, I watched the Hobbit stuff. Bright was a thing I watched a video on. I've seen a good amount of Lindsay Ellis content, okay? I'm not like a super fan or anything, but I've seen a decent amount of her content, and I've seen enough of it to be very, very familiar with the fact that there is absolutely not a goddamn fucking thing to get mad at Lindsay Ellis about in her content. I've seen enough of it to, I feel like, judge her character to the degree where it's obvious that she is so responsible with her messaging and platforming, at least she's been this way in the last few years, that there's probably absolutely no fucking reason to cancel Lindsay Ellis. And that's my general opinion, and has been since I started watching her content. Hey, Inkster, we're talking about something serious here. Basically, if you guys want to find out why I'm talking about this, why Lindsay Ellis left, you can go back and you can watch a video I uploaded not too long ago, but I'll summarize it. The video is about Lindsay Ellis getting canceled, and she was on Twitter. She did a review, or like, she just watched this movie that was put out by Disney or Pixar, some bullshit like that, named Raya and the Last Dragon. And she gave a little bit of commentary in a tweet saying that the movie felt a lot like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, both of those pieces of media that she compared have inspiration in terms of their aesthetic from, like, I guess it would be Western. I don't know what parts of Asia, okay? There's some. I'm not going to try to act like I know exactly every single detail of the cultural inspirations for both of those pieces of media, but there were people who felt like there was an obvious implication there of racism, rather than the critique that she actually had, which was that the story of both these pieces of media were very similar. Not that she was just comparing them because of some cultural inspirations that both of those pieces of media contain, and that it was motivated by racism. And she even responded to this in a video called Mask Off, where she debunked all of these claims, and, well, the cancellation didn't stop. And I want to point something out here, and I want to be very, very clear, okay? I want to be extremely clear. Lindsay Ellis leaving YouTube and quitting content is all your faults. Every single one of you who didn't speak out against this type of behavior on the left, who made excuses for those who do it, and who actively enable this type of behavior, it is all your fault that this has happened. And I'm going to explain why after you read her side of the story a little bit, because I think that it's good to just hear what she has to say. And I've already read this, but there's a lot that we're going to that I'll be talking about going off of here from her goodbye note. Walking away from Omalaz. I don't know what Omalaz is. I think maybe that's like her publishing company or something, or like the company that she owns, because I believe she publishes books. She writes and publishes books and does YouTube. I'm not entirely certain, but that sounds about right. This was going to be a YouTube video, but I just don't have it in me to invite that kind of scrutiny to be the last in the sick, sad line of YouTubers who get all weepy on camera and cry about how they just can't do this anymore. Boo-hoo-hoo. I had planned to move video content to Nebula, but I realize now that doing that is just keeping wounds wide open. My life ended 9 months ago. What has been taking up bandwidth ever since then has been a ghost. It's almost funny how many people will insist that I have lost nothing, because subscriber count is the only metric for success and cancel culture doesn't exist. One YouTube channel chugging along on algorithmic inertia is not success. It's just an engine driving on fumes. Whew! I can definitely feel that. It reminds me back in my big days of getting canceled. Omelas is a city in the book by Ursula Le Guin that is popped up by the misery of a single person. Well, that is a very obscure reference that only Lindsay Ellis could make. Many will say this is being melodramatic, that my life isn't over, that there was absolutely nothing stopping me from brushing myself off, building back up goodwill, and shutting up and playing the game. And I tried that. In a way, I suppose it's good that I did, because I needed to learn the hard way that was never going to work. There is no unfucking this. You can't find the energy if there is nothing left to convert to it. You can't be a better person if you are nothing but the hollow shell of one. 2021 has been the worst year of my life. I am traumatized by it. To this day, I still have people scolding me by how I handled it, that I should have handled it differently, that I should have controlled my stands, as if I had the capability to know what any of these people were even saying to strangers on Twitter while I was shitting blood for weeks on end. I don't know what that's about. The worst thing about this whole year is that I can't even admit this trauma because of all the rhetorical devices that people have already come up with to dismiss it. That centering my own pain is evidence of me not listening. Does it occur to these people that you can listen and disagree with other people's conclusions? That I'm weaponizing my fragile white womanhood or whatever to point out that having thousands upon thousands of people who you have never met hate you and say whatever they will get them the most updates about it. Get the most updates about is in fact traumatizing. That people I used to know would flagrantly lie about me on twitter.com to the tune of thousands of retweets and tens of thousands of likes, and I just had to sit there and take it. My favorite are the people who dismiss any potential harm I might have incurred as justified because I'm a wealthy white woman. I am not wealthy, while these same people's hearts positively bleed for Britney Spears. Oh my god. There is so much here that I think absolutely. Somebody in VGG said that shitting blood's a symptom of excess stress. For me, shitting blood is a symptom of large shits. Massive, like tank shell size shits. But, that's just me. Anyway, really, really perfect wording here that she used, I gotta say. The way she words this, the rhetorical devices already designed in order to silence me about any complaints I have about this type of abusive behavior. Absolutely fucking right. I want to make it very clear here. If you're an abusive piece of shit and you're on the right, chances are, if that abusive piece of shitness about you is going to have any crossover with your politics, it's going to be, something having to do with you being right-wing. You're going to be hitting women or engaging in incel creep behavior, stuff like that. But what if you're an abusive piece of shit and you happen to be on the left? I know, surprising, right? Does anyone here believe that there cannot be abusive pieces of shit on the left? Because if you believe that, then I'm afraid that you're insane and naive and need to go outside and touch grass. So what do abusive pieces of shit do on the left? Well, same thing any other abusive piece of shit would do in any other situation. They'll isolate you, they'll lie about you, they'll insult you, and they'll try to find ways to turn everybody in your life against you. And what is the best way to do that in any left-wing progressive space online? To claim that you are a bigot, to claim that you have hatred in your heart for certain marginalized people, to misrepresent your opinions or jokes or quotes, any of those things in order to spread the most negative opinion about you to as many people as possible, to cut you off, and using insults based on that thing, even though it's wrong, and they know it's wrong, in order to upset you. It's the same exact type of behavior any right-wing troll would use online, only it's using wokeness as a shield, right? For example, I've actually had this done to me by conservatives before. I get a lot of comments on basically any video I do responding to Blair White from Blair White's fans saying, well, what right do you have to criticize Blair? She's trans and you're cis. And it's like, really? Like, is that we're using this id poll now? Is that where we're at? And it's ironic because then I'll literally hear that same argument, the shut up cis man, listen to trans women argument from left-wing people, literally later that same day. And it's funny to me because that argument would also apply to people like Blair White or Calvin Gara, people who I think hold horrible opinions on on anything trans-related, way worse than my opinions, but by many of these people's standards, just because they don't like me and they want to be mean towards me, will say, shut up and let trans people talk, not really realizing they're advocating for the voices of literal true scum and trans medicalists to matter more than say mine, right? Which is pretty shitty and stupid. But Lindsay Ellis does a really good job of pointing this out here, especially the idea that people don't recognize that success on YouTube in terms of viewership, subscribers, comments, and even income doesn't necessarily correlate directly to happiness. Now, don't get me wrong, if your YouTube channel is doing badly and you're not making enough money and yada yada, you're gonna feel like shit just because that's the situation you're in. But like, even if you're doing well financially and you're getting a lot of views and all that, it can be hard to empathize with if you're not, in that situation as well. And I'm not in that situation even. But it won't bring you happiness if you aren't already happy. At the end of the day, it'll help you out. But if there's something fundamentally wrong with you and wrong with your life that you need to deal with, it's not going to make you happy. And that's the case with a lot of these YouTubers. The human brain is fragile as fuck, and it takes a lot of desensitization and thick skin in order to survive on the internet. I mean, even for me, and listen, I think I've got fairly thick skin, but it even gets to me sometimes. And I find the best way to deal with it is just to totally ignore it and don't engage. If I get shit or I get canceled or whatever, nowadays I either turn it into content if I can to get something out of it, or I completely ignore it if there's no way to do that. That's how I deal with drama now. Drama, controversy, any of it. If people are mad at me, that's how I handle it now, and it is the perfect way to handle it. The problem is, that's really hard for people, and I wasn't able to do it in the past. When I first ran into these woke scold types in this community, I was really angry at first, and I was really aggro. Go back and watch my original videos talking about woke scolds. I was getting canceled every single month because I went so hard against these people. I honestly think I might have, like, per capita, more haters than Vosh. I think more people who know about me, proportional to Vosh, hate me than hate him. And he's like generally known to be one of the most hated in this community at what we do. So that's saying a lot. All right, that's saying a lot. However, in the beginning, I wasn't very good at handling that. And me getting canceled, I would get angry about it, and I would let it get to me, and it would make things worse. And unfortunately, there's only 3 ways to deal with this situation. Either you get a thicker skin and you block and ignore all these people, which is pretty difficult to do, and I don't think everybody has a brain capable of handling that. You just give in and completely leave the internet and retake your anonymity and run away from all of it. Or number 3, maybe the third option is maybe we recognize when abusers are using woke rhetoric to engage in abusive behavior towards people that are part of demographics that are not traditionally considered to be marginalized, using their identity as a shield, and then being enabled by the rest of the left to engage in that abusive behavior, okay? Listen, just because you're trans doesn't mean that you're allowed to, like, abuse, like, a cis white woman on Twitter, okay? Like, you're not allowed to literally harass to the point of suicidal depression a white cis woman on Twitter because you're a trans, neurodivergent, and a minor, okay? I'm sorry, you guys aren't allowed to do that. I'm going to have to put my foot down on that. You're a piece of shit if you do that, and you should not be allowed in the left. I don't care. Stop doing that kind of shit. That's exactly what happened to Lindsay Ellis. And I also want to say, shame on everyone who didn't speak out for Lindsay Ellis. I do want to say, you guys have a massive tendency in, like, the audience, all of you that are watching this video once it goes out, because I'm sure it's going to get a lot of views, especially with the inflammatory title I plan to give this video. All of you people that watch, like, these BreadTube channels, you're all very, very parasocial. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I see, like, the RBreadTube subreddit and, like, the communities that form around BreadTube. You guys, like, in your fan art and everything, you guys really don't realize how little of a community there actually is here, okay? Like, in the upper echelon of things, when you consider BreadTube, like, the big YouTubers like ContraPoints, Hassan and Sean and I don't know, H-Bomber guy and everything, they're not, like, buddies hanging out all the time or anything like that. Okay? They barely talk to each other as far as I know. Even on this tier of things, I only talked to, like, 3 or 4 other streamers or YouTubers that I'm friends with, okay? Like, maybe 3, 4, yeah, 4 at the most, maybe 5 or something. Like, beyond that, I have some acquaintances, but, like, really, there's not that much of, like, a strong community going on. And it's sad because I feel like a lot of the audience perceives it that way. And so they kind of perceive it as though these YouTubers that have a large audience have this huge support structure and they can really handle getting a little bit of, you know, hurt feelings online. It's kind of assumed, like, oh, you got a huge audience. You got tons of people that love you. Insults aren't going to hurt your feelings. You're going to be fine, right? And that's not always the case, really. I mean, for me, it's fine, but usually it's, for a lot of people, not going to be enough. Speaking of which, there was something I wanted to show you guys. Look at this. Look at this. Holy shit, the video got 100,000 views in 7 months. God damn. ContraPoints got canceled on Twitter again, and Lindsay Ellis stepped up, of course. And I also did another video on the Lindsay Ellis cancellation. I think it's a little bit further down, sort by my most popular. I know it's like one of the higher ones. I've done a couple of videos having to do with Lindsay Ellis getting canceled, especially with ContraPoints getting canceled. Generally, if I see somebody else in this space getting canceled for a dumb reason, I'll step out, I'll speak out for them, I'll put out a video, and I'll lend some support, right? I've got a history of doing that. Can we all agree on that? And I did the same thing for Lindsay Ellis when she got canceled. Unfortunately, the amount of people who did what I did was pretty low. As you can see, she's, you know, obviously still leaving YouTube. Not a lot of people really stepped out and spoke out for her. Do you guys want to know why? It's because if you even come within 10 feet of someone who's canceled, while they're canceled, you'll get canceled too. If you offer any support to somebody who's currently getting canceled on Twitter, same shit'll happen to you, and they'll start harassing you. I want to be clear here. When I say cancel or cancel culture, all I'm talking about here is just people mad on Twitter, like, you know, just bombarding them with harassment, okay? That's all it is, just a hate mob, okay? That's literally all I'm talking about. It can go anywhere from just, like, angry comments to calling someone's work to get them fired or even doxing them and trying to swat them. The hard drive progressive game satire site did a weird article saying Lindsay Ellis is just whining about cancel culture. Yes, it's full-on abusive behavior, Bobfather17. That's all it is. Notice how like the arguments made by like the cancel happy types about Lindsay Ellis. Go look on Twitter and look at the way they talk. Tell me how it's any different from incels talking about how much they hate women and want to rape women. Like, tell me how it's like any different. Or like the incels who hate any woman that reports a rape because they think that women are like liars and pieces of shit that are just trying to ruin men's lives. Tell me how there's any difference there in the tone or the way they talk about Lindsay Ellis. It sounds like alt-right fucking incel comments, just from a left-wing perspective. It does. It sounds like the same shit. The same, like, cancel Pokimane type shit. Yeah. Like, the people who just mauled all day about fucking any popular woman on the internet. It's the same shit. Woke scolds do the same shit with different words. Yeah, it's just same shit, different words. You know, I did a video not too long ago, a while back. Let's see. I've done a lot of videos on woke scolds. We got to bring back the anti-woke scold arcs, huh? Here it is. So there was this person named Social Justice Demon back in 2020, back in March. Oh my god, I was such a greasy boy back then. God. Can I please go back in time and teach my, like, 20-year-old self some, like, better hygiene? Frankly, I just needed a haircut really bad, and air conditioning would have helped. Wait, I wasn't even greasy. I was just really hot and sweaty. You can see the swamp cooler behind me, just desperately trying to cool me down while I'm streaming. Oh, those were the days. All right. I feel like this video does a pretty good job of representing exactly what I'm talking about here. I'm not going to play the actual video. I just want to bring up some of the screenshots that are relevant, because I think it does a pretty good job of representing exactly the type of behavior that I'm talking about. Here's some messages from Patricia Taxon, who's since, for some reason, blocked me on Twitter for reasons I frankly could not even begin to explain. I really don't know why. It was out of nowhere, and I've never spoken with her, really. But this is a thread by Patricia Taxon referencing a pretty notorious woke scold on Twitter named Social Justice Demon, OG Xanderhall villain. You know, it's like we're going back to the Sinister Six, okay, of my like MCU style roster of villains. You know, block SJD, Social Justice Demon, immediately. She's behind several harassment campaigns against me and my friends, trying to get attention again, and I would prefer if they were immediately cut off by every account on this website. To make a long story short, I made a rape joke, making fun of someone for censoring the word rape. I apologized for it, and a few months later, this person's old account started spreading it around, along with a message telling me to go play in traffic. Someone screenshotted that tweet telling me to kill myself, and I shared it, but the tweet also contained an account of CSA that she didn't want shared. The screenshot was deleted, and I posted again with the CSA account blurred out, where it now stands. Fuck you, dead name. Fuck you to hell and back. Go play in traffic, you worthless piece of shit. And they posted, and then, like, the bit before this was, like, a story about... So let me explain what happened here, okay? Let me, like, walk you guys through the logic of a woke scold, okay? So here you've got a trans woman, all right? You've got a trans woman who got into an argument with this person on Twitter. They made a joke about someone censoring the word rape and then apologized for it. Then this person started spreading the screenshot around, along with a message saying to kill herself, and then canceled them for reposting the go kill yourself message, because the first half of it, which is now blurred, included a story about their child sexual assault. And so that means the person who was saying, fuck you, dead name, fuck you to hell and back, go play in traffic, you worthless piece of shit, this person is the victim here who gets to do the cancellation. So I think that gives you some good insight, and tons of people took the side of this person back then, by the way. This video was controversial. This video got a good amount of hate, okay? This has got 26,000 views. We can't see the dislikes anymore, but only 1.2k likes, okay? I got a lot of pushback for every single video I did shitting on woke scolds back in the day, especially early on, okay? The left is highly, highly defensive of this type of people, okay? Really, it's disgusting how much defense is played for these types of people. And all that happens when you do that is you enable them to continue their behavior and to swamp some of the largest, most influential left-wing creators online in harassment, in a rage-fueled hate, to the point where they simply don't want to make content anymore and they leave. And that's what happened. What Lindsay Ellis did, I'm happy for her. She's gotten her bag, I'm sure. I'm sure she's gotten enough money to live for the rest of her life without really having to do too much hard work, hopefully. I mean, she deserves to be able to retire and just, vacation for the rest of her life. And if that's what she does, then all the power to her. That is the best thing you can possibly hope for. Not a single person, I'd say, making content online right now, very few people in this scene are happy doing what they're doing. Like the idea of making this type of content and being a big YouTuber or a streamer is very attractive from the outside looking in. But once you're in it, like you're doing it for a living, then you're stuck in it, and it kind of sucks a little bit sometimes. The way that so much abusive behavior towards these online figures has been normalized, because you don't really consider the opinions of people who've got success because, their feelings don't matter. They've got it all, But it's just not how it works. Not how the human brain works at all. Human brains are very used to getting acclimated at a certain level of of enjoyment, Like if you live a pretty cushy life, then you're going to get used to that pretty quick. And, you could argue that's just being spoiled, but it's just the way the human brain works. If you live a pretty, successful, happy life, eventually you're going to get used to it, and it's going to take more to make you happy. So yeah. Reza Sutra, thank you for the 2 tier 1 gifted subs. I really appreciate that. It's very, very kind of you. Based $10 giver. Puts us at $25. Based. All right. Listen, everybody. Here's my advice. If you're watching this video and you want to know how best to prevent things like this from happening in the future, support your favorite creators, for the love of God. When you see a Twitter thread spreading obvious lies about your favorite YouTuber, quote tweet that shit with fucking debunk, or drop it in the replies. Report that shit for misinformation or something. I don't know. Just at least push back against it. Defend your favorite creators when you see people lying about them. Drop a like, comment, subscribe, donate to your favorite creators. Offer emotional support. I may not be able to respond to all of them, but when I get positive messages that are nice in my DMs, it's so uplifting. It's always so nice when I see just a random DM from somebody and I don't have time to respond, but it's someone saying, hey, I really like your content, it's really great. That always makes me feel better. And something as simple as that can help counteract the feeling of a million negative comments. Now, don't get me wrong, when you're under the swell of cancellation, you can't look at your phone without a million negative comments. It's tough, especially when your whole life, your whole social life and career naturally is online, because that's where her job is. It can be really, really tough because the internet is your whole world, and now the internet is against you. And I don't think that's Lindsay's fault that her whole world is on the internet. Naturally, your whole world's going to be on the internet when your job is to be on the internet, like me. It's the natural response to things like this happening. She's done nothing wrong here. She didn't deserve to get canceled in the first place. And she's not complaining or whining about cancel culture. Frankly, she's doing something very, very smart. And it's probably a life-saving decision to quit YouTube. Because doing this whole content thing and continuing to subject herself to the cry-bullying, abusive behavior of the woke scold types is probably going to lead her to an early grave. And I have no doubt that in the future it is going to lead some left-wing figure to an early grave, and it's going to be a huge wake-up call for a lot of the online left. I have no doubt that'll happen at some point down the road. Absolutely no doubt. And I have no doubt the victim of said possible bullying cause suicide. I'd have no surprise if they were part of a marginalized group that was canceled by a bunch of woke scolds. I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Trans or something like that. I would not be surprised, because some of the most vulnerable people on the left, the people who are most vulnerable to cancellation and the woke scold types, are those that are part of a marginalized group already. Because when they get canceled, they're getting ostracized from the only communities online that will recognize their identity as valid. If you're trans and the online left cancels you, what social space are you going to be able to find where your identity is going to be recognized and validated? Nowhere. You're essentially fucked if the online left cancels you and you're part of a marginalized group, like trans, non-binary, anything like that. So if you're, listen, straight, white, cis, het, whatever dudes like me, all right, I'm okay if I get canceled in the long run, okay? I can just like rename myself on the internet and go back to being who I was before if everything went too badly, you know? But if you're trans online and you get super canceled and you're like a large figure, everybody knows who you are. Everybody now is probably going to have an opinion on you, and it might be bad. And those are the only communities online you've really got a chance to spend time with and to hang out in. So, yeah. A lot of people don't consider that. That's what ContraPoints talked about in her canceling video. It's that people that are parts of marginalized groups are the most at risk of suffering from the cancel culture shit in these communities. Anyway, with all that said, thank you so much for watching. Go send some support to Lindsay Ellis, all right? And for the love of God, stop enabling this type of behavior. Call out motherfuckers you see engaging in this woke scoldy shit. Call it the fuck out. Anyway, with all that said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And have a good one. Bye.